G'day everyone, and welcome to today's presentation hosted by me, Zoe Wood, the Video Confidence Coach. I want to thank wholeheartedly everyone at the 1111 Hour crew, including Tabitha and Cherry, and everyone at the Help My Business. I love the name, but I keep forgetting the name. Tabitha, you're going to yell at me. The Facebook group that obviously this stream is a part of, as well as the podcast that you are hopefully listening to if you are after the live stream today. So my name is Zoe Wood, and I am going to be running a nice little workshop, a little interactive workshop for those who are live with us this evening to answer any of your questions regarding video confidence, marketing, personal branding, pretty much everything that I do and the business that I run. So there will be no introduction from Cherry or Tabitha today, just because they're in the back seat taking some notes today. And as I am the one that helped them set up this season of live streaming and the podcast, I've got access to the back end where I'm just going to tick and do the work on my end. But I have a nice presentation that we'll work through slowly throughout the hour today. And if you have any questions, please make sure to comment them below, and Cherry will pick them and put them up on the screen for us to answer. And I will do my best to answer as we go along. And if I don't have the answers straight away for you, I will definitely respond to you within 24 hours with an actual answer. Because even though I may be the expert, I may not know everything all of the time. And that should be the same for you. You don't always have the answers to everything. G'day, Tabitha. Nice to see you. Hope you're enjoying your relaxing night here in May 2024. And g'day, Kate. Nice to see you as well. All right, we're going to cut to this next shot, which will work. See? Oh, look at us go. All right. So for those who are listening to us today, we did a smooth transition and everything worked. Thank you, Cherry. So g'day, Wilma, as well. So today we got Elevate Your On-Camera Presence, Mastering Video Communication Skills with me, the Video Confidence Coach. Before I'd like to begin today, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians and owners of the land on which I conduct my business. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and I stand with the traditional custodians of the lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them, and their fight against injustice always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And in today's workshop, as I mentioned just briefly for those who have just joining us on the live stream now, this workshop, or presentation more like, is dictated by you. So the questions that you have for us tonight that you'll be putting in the comments, Cherry will put up on the screen, and I'll make sure to full screen myself and answer your questions as they come up. I have got a whole bunch of prompts in this presentation for me and the questions that I can answer. But if anything does spark any questions for you, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to leave this presentation in the dust if that's what you guys need. And for those who are watching us in the replay or listening to the podcast, make sure that you join us usually on Tuesday nights if you are interested in contributing live. And also, I'm here on the bonus on Wednesday night, but they're usually on the Tuesday nights. So, like I said, if I don't answer your question right away, I will make sure I answer your question, usually in a DM or in a post that I'll tag you in within 24 hours, because I may not have the answers all the time. G'day, Angela. Thank you for joining us. And g'day, Leanne. Nice to see you. So, who is Zoe, the Video Confidence Coach? Well, that's me. I've been running businesses since I was 14. Usually around the marketing and media space. I ran a videography business for about 10 years, and then due to both mental and physical disabilities, I've had to pivot towards the Video Confidence Coach, where I help people with marketing strategies, personal branding, and video implementation. Essentially, I help people get in front of the camera by using their messaging, by using their unique voice to help them reach and help the people that need to be helped. That's my little teaser there for you. If you're interested in checking out any of the work that I do, my website is vcc.training. That is currently under construction, but by the time hopefully this comes out, it may be live, it may not be. Give me another month. And if not, you can always follow me on my social media platforms under Video Confidence on all of the platforms except for X or Twitter, because nobody needs to deal with that dumpster fire if they can help it. G'day, Roy. Nice to see you. So we're jumping straight into the presentation today. And like I said, feel free to comment any of your ideas or any questions that any of the topics that I bring up today spark for you. And we will lead with your example over my examples. Even though I am the expert in this situation, doesn't necessarily mean that I am the right way to lead our conversation today. So to start off with, a lot of people who come to me seeking advice regarding video presentations or getting confident on camera usually think of the fundamentals of what equipment do I use? What background should I use? How do I stand properly? What is my posture? Like usually for people who are not confident on camera or who haven't even tried being on the camera themselves, can feel like they need to grab onto something so they can come to me knowing a little bit about the area that they're trying to get me to help them in. But when you are going to a dentist, you may go to a dentist and say, hey, I've got like a pain in my tooth, but you're not saying, hey, can you flush this out? Can you drill into this? Can you replace the cavity with plastic? I don't know what they put in there nowadays. They used to put in mercury or silver or something in there in the past. Ugh. But you're not telling the expert what to do. You're just providing them with the problem that you have. And as the expert that they are, they should be providing you the solution. And hopefully when you come to marketing experts like myself, and I do hesitate to use the term expert for myself, but yes, I do use the term expert. When people come to a media expert like myself, you need to be able to provide the problem to understand ultimately what we can do and provide you a solution, which of course hopefully most small businesses and experts and industry authorities should be doing. But today we're going to start off with the body language mastery of doing any of your video work. So of course, when you think of video, you usually think of a situation like this, where you're standing in front of the camera, be it the camera on your phone, the camera in your computer, or the camera that's on your microwave or fridge. Essentially, whichever camera you have access to, usually most people think of how they're going to look, how they're going to stand, how they're going to posture themselves, how they're going to maintain a confident posture. But I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to ask the question now, do you need to be in front of the camera? That might be a very strange question for someone who is touting as one of the things that I can do for you is to give you confidence in front of the camera. The reason I ask you this is because if you don't want to be in front of the camera because you don't see a need to, no matter what I say, no matter what any expert says, you aren't going to listen to them. So in your business, of course, there's plenty of things that you can showcase, and we'll get onto that in the rest of our workshop and presentation. But what I want to ask you is, if you need to be in front of the camera, is that because the work, the services, the products that you provide are very special to you? Are you unique in what you can provide people? Are you the clincher between people coming to you exhausted, exasperated, laden with problems, and you are there to fix them? Now, the reason I ask those questions is because if you're answering yes to those questions, then there's a good chance that, yes, you're actually going to need to stand in front of the camera, but not for your benefit, for their benefit, for your audience, for your potential clients, for your current clients, for your past clients. You're standing in front of the camera for their benefit, not for your own. Yes, I understand that getting in front of the camera can be absolutely bloody terrifying. And this is coming from the video confidence coach. I understand that it can be terrifying. And the reason that I can stand in front of you with as much confidence as I have is because I've practiced. I repeated words over and over and over again growing up because I was deaf. From when I was born till around about 6 or 7, I could not hear. So I just mimicked what people did around me, hopefully to fit in. And then I mimicked again to try and make sure that I was able to communicate clear. And when I've communicated to the camera, it's because I practice almost daily. And that's why my skill level, especially for people who aren't media trained, may see that as a very high level of skill. But that's just because I've practiced. Ultimately, I was forced to practice. But for yourself and for your business, if you are the clincher, if you are the thing that holds the business together, that you are the one that does the services, you're the one that people reach out to when they pick up the phone, if you are the one who is conveying the message that is going to help people achieve their goals, then unfortunately, you're going to have to be in front of the camera. I know that sounds absolutely terrible, but if you give yourself enough practice, if you give yourself enough grace and the opportunity to, say, for example, go on live streams on a regular basis, film regular videos out and about, just pop a camera on top of your computer and film a mini rant about the day's events. Whatever it is, as long as you're doing it and you're actually practicing it over time. Because you will get better. It's going to start out terrible, but you're definitely going to get better. And I pulled all of that just from the word maintain confident posture. So moving on to the next part, I'm going to check out the comments that are on the live stream today. So thank you so much for everyone's comments. And again, feel free to comment if you have any questions. So I've got one from Kitty saying, hey Zoe, hey Zoe, you have a great energy about you. I struggle with severe fatigue and with everything to do with handcrafted small businesses. I always find it struggle to bring energy to a video and I sound slow and tired. How do you pick up your energy for a video? On the topic of need, I've heard the algorithm on so many social faces. Yes. So going to pull widescreen here. So answering Kitty's first question, and then I'll move to the second half of your question, Kitty. In regards to bringing up your energy, it's very much a case of, first of all, making it comfortable for you. Because I'm going to tell you now, when it comes to the camera can be a little bit strange because it's not another human watching you. It's a piece of tech. It's a piece of machinery. And as tech progresses, an AI machine is staring at you. So there's a lot of things that can seem a bit odd when we're trying to pick up our speed or pick up our energy because we're expecting some sort of feedback. Usually when you're communicating with other human beings, you're expecting some sort of feedback. So to know if your energy is too low or too high, to understand where you're coming from. But because you're working with a piece of machinery, it's going to be not going to give you a whole lot to work with. So just to bring up your energy, you can first either sit down or you find yourself in a more comfortable position. Usually that helps bring up your energy because you're not trying to either stand up for a long period of time or trying to put yourself in an uncomfortable position because maybe the light is better. That might be the case, but if you're uncomfortable, you're not going to have a whole lot of energy. And making sure that you, another useful tip that I have for bringing up your energy is, again, practice, which I tell you now, Kitty, is one of the main factors of what I do is just tell people to practice. But giving yourself that opportunity that if you find yourself in a day have more energy in the mornings, then think about the video that you're going to film ahead of time, maybe even write down some dot points. So then you don't have to keep thinking about it, maybe the night before or whenever you're relaxing. And then when you actually come to film the video at the time of day where you have the most energy, then you'll be able to film it maybe once, maybe twice, maximum 3 times. And then that's it. Don't feel the need to keep recording things to get it absolutely perfect because you've done it 3 times. And then by the time you finish that 3rd time, you're usually out of energy anyway. So usually try and pick the times of day that you have the most energy just naturally. And as someone who experiences a lot of dips with chronic health conditions, I think being able to give yourself that grace of just hearing your body and hearing what it has to say. And then, okay, when you've got the time to do it, and the energy to do it, then do it then. Maybe even spend the time where you may not have that energy or you feel like you're speaking too slowly, because I'm going to tell you now, most people speak too fast. There is a very rare cases that you actually speak too slowly. And even if that's the case, like you find yourself that you're speaking too slowly and you show, very importantly, show your video to say friends or family or other people within your niche or maybe in your collective community. If they say maybe you're speaking a bit too slow, then you can always edit it after the fact and speed it up a little bit. You can do this via CapCut. You can do this via very editing platforms. Essentially, just Google your editing software and speed up, and it'll teach you ways to do it. If that's what you're really worried about, that energy. But most of the time, the people around you are going to tell you, you sound fine. You sound normal. You sound good. Because most of the time, it's what we're thinking that they're in a conflict inside us. So thank you so much for that, Kitty. And the other question that you had in regards to, you've heard that the algorithm on many socials favors faces. And yes, that is definitely true, because humans like to connect with faces. We like to see other faces and we like to see what they look like and what they're about. And on social media, and especially the algorithm is based on our actions and the actions or whatever the social media overlords want us to do. But I digress. So if you are able to get your face onto camera and you're confident about having your face out there, then do it. Practice a couple of times, maybe even film a different couple of videos before you put anything out there. And then once you put that video out there, make sure that you share it with the community, like us here, or you share the video to other groups that you're a part of, maybe just to get some feedback on what you can improve on in a nice way, of course. Because people are willing to support other people. And the algorithm favors a lot of things at any different time. I highly recommend that you don't dictate your actions of creating content or videos based entirely on what the algorithm is going to do. Because unfortunately, it's a beast all in itself, and nobody knows what it's doing at any given time. Thank you so much for your questions, Kitty. Lisa says, I'm relieved to hear that I do not need to get in front of the camera. And I thank you. I'm so glad that you feel relieved to hear that, because as the video confidence coach, it may seem like that is my shtick. My shtick is to get you in front of the camera, which I would say if this was 8 years ago, probably that was the case. But nowadays, I understand that there are so many trepidations with people getting in front of the camera, but also you don't necessarily need to. Your services can speak for themselves. Your products can speak for yourselves. But if your audience needs to see your face, then weigh it up if it works for you. And of course, I always offer 15 to 20 minute chats with anyone who is umming and ahhing this question. So feel free to reach out to me if you need. Roy says, I've worked with Zoe for over 7 years. Her expertise and guidance, patience, and end goal achievements is awesome. Thank you so much for that, Roy. It's always been a pleasure working with you. And thank you so much for your like comments. Kat Cherry says, I'm not a camera person. I like voiceovers, and that's all right. And that's okay too. You've still got your energy, and your voice is still a personality of you. And when people are calling you, are messaging you, are reaching out to you to work with you, they're going to hear your voice. So a voiceover is usually okay for most instances, especially, for example, like Cherry, who works in graphic design, where most of her services of graphic design, which is the output, usually speaks for itself most of the time. Tabitha says, so I find it easier to be live in a conversation with someone as opposed to doing it solo, because of course, as Tabitha mentioned, when you're live streaming, and especially if you're live streaming in an interview type setting, you're bouncing off someone. Even though it is a little bit delayed with technology, you're still bouncing off someone at the end of the day, because they're asking questions, they're also giving you answers back. There's a bit of back and forth, like a normal conversation would, compared to a cold, dark machine that's staring blankly at you and doesn't blink. Oh. And thank you so much for everyone's comments today. Just looking down. So thank you so much to Amanda, and thank you so much for your cheerleading throughout the past coming days, Amanda. And we've got Roy, who's being clear about the content I want to create has been the best way to achieve a good video outcome. And yes, That is definitely the right way to go about it, Roy, because when you think collectively about what you're actually doing, not just in your video per se, that one video that you're doing, but marketing as a whole, it makes it a lot easier to be able to make very big decisions about your business and about the direction of your business, and in turn, what type of marketing you're doing. Because marketing at the end of the day is drawing attention to your business, is trying to draw the attention of people who are going to buy from you and use your service. And hopefully, if you do a good job, they will then promote you as well. So if you're able to get a really clear idea of who you're speaking to, and when I say who you're speaking to, I'm not talking about just general demographics. I mean, have an idea of someone that you've worked with in the past, or someone who you would like to work with, who you've met or maybe come across in real life, and make the video for them and speak with them in mind. Do not use their name. Do not use their postal address. Do not provide any information, any identifying information of that respect. But to be able to have that mental image of that person in your mind, especially when creating videos or thinking of ideas to post on social media, or even doing live streams, or agreeing to go on live streams, or agreeing to say guest on a podcast. If you have the idea that if your audience is going to be there, or if your ideal person is going to be watching that video or listening to that video, then you should be there. And if not, I know that sounds a bit wishy-washy coming from me, but not everything is always going to be a clear-cut answer. Got a comment from Tabitha. We started with just voiceovers. Cherry and I could never have imagined that we'd be now doing live streams at the 11:11 hour and help me build my business, Australia. Building up your confidence as you go along is completely okay. Because of course, not everything is going to be perfect out the gate. When you first started your business, were you crack hot straight away? Did you not make mistakes? Did you, the first thing that you ever created, that you ever serviced, that you ever did for your business, was it absolutely perfect? No. Can anyone argue that what you do now is perfect? No. The reason I ask that is because when it comes to marketing your business in general, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to make pitfalls. But hopefully the work that and the message that I put out there is that if you're willing to make mistakes that ultimately in the end of the day don't harm yourself and do not harm anyone else, then it's okay to make mistakes. If you do the other ways, that's fine too. And of course, Cherry mentioned, we are our own worst enemy sometimes, and especially when it comes to marketing our business, especially if it's our own small business, our side hustle, our thing that we have brought from the ground up and we're growing and we're putting a lot of energies into. Sometimes you can be your own worst critic, and you may be worried about backlash from people that you don't know, as well as people that you do know online. I'm going to tell you now, especially in local business sectors, chambers that I've been a part of, people are more likely to support you than they are to be against you. And this may seem, quite trivial, quite odd, but for a lot of people, that potential backlash that may come to them as soon as they say or open their mouth can be quite devastating and can be quite haltering to any sort of creativity or any sort of video messaging that they want to put out there. I'm going to say now that there's a lot more energy put into supporting people and supporting the messages that you would put out there compared to people that just don't have an opinion either way. And of course, I'm not negating that there are trolls, there are haters out there, but that's what the block function is for. That's what the report function is for. Now, of course, I do not recommend blocking or getting rid of any comments that are criticism of nature, of your nature. But if they are hurtful, if they are hurting yourself or demeaning your audience or the people that are potential customers of yours, then of course, block them, boot them off, make sure they don't come back. But I'm going to tell you now, you're stronger than that. And Kate just mentioned, that laughing at your mistakes, I totally agree, Kate, because that's something that I do all the time and have done so a couple of times during this presentation. So Tabitha asks, what are the benefits of going live on your business social media accounts? So the benefits of going live is that you can talk directly to your audience without the need to be very polished. Of course, that may result in some ums and ahs and a little bit of, technical failures and things going wrong. But going live enables you to be able to do what we're doing now live in the moment and interact with comments. While also giving you the opportunity to have a regular point, either be it weekly or fortnightly, or for example, at the moment, we currently have a presentation that goes out on Tuesday nights with a bonus that happens on Wednesdays. It's a regular thing that people tune into. It's a regular weekly occurrence that they know they're going to get value from. So they rock up, they turn up. And for those that aren't able to turn up live, they turn up on the replays, on the podcasts, on the snippets, on the shorts. They interact with you because you're putting in the effort to speak to them and speak to them live. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, that also brings up your confidence a lot faster because you're ultimately doing a lot more talking. When it comes to shooting solo videos, for example, you might feel yourself stopping and starting because you're trying to get the words out. You're trying to get it perfect. When filming live, you don't exactly have that option to stop and start. You just got to keep going and give yourself that grace and that reassurance that, okay, if I stuff up, I'm just going to take a breath. I'm going to pause, stare down the barrel of that camera and start again. And people are going to be okay with that because it's live. It's like a normal conversation. Things are going to go wrong. Sometimes you're going to stumble over your words. I am a big proponent of stumbling over my words. Or in my case, because I speak a lot with my hands, I hit the microphone a bit too many times. And of course, if I was filming a video, I'd cut that out. But if it's live, probably not so much. But when you are recording a live, I highly recommend for people to think of it as more of an opportunity to reach out to potential customers or give you a chance to have conversations with people that you may not regularly have conversations with, or just an opportunity to speak out into the void and see what type of responses you can get back from that. Because if it's not negative, it's positive. And Roy mentioned, Zoe's always brought fun to my requirements, never critical, but always on point to help achieve a good result. Because hopefully when you work with me, a little bit of a subtle plug here, not very subtle, but when I work with clients, my goal is to get them to their desired outcome. Yes, if I need to be a little bit harsh and a little bit mean, which is probably me just messaging them and just being like, hi, you said we were going to do this. Let's do this. Like, that's my mean face. But when it comes to helping people achieve what they need to achieve, that's what I'm here for. That's what you've hired me for, to get to where you need to go, to use the expertise, and hopefully to use the knowledge that you have as an expert in your field. Because ultimately, if you are running a small business, if you are working with clients and helping them achieve what they want to achieve, you are an expert. You don't need a degree for that. You don't need some fancy piece of paper. If you are helping people and you're doing it right, you're an expert. If you're constantly growing and evolving your education on your particular subject, you're an expert. If you're growing your knowledge and can admit, more importantly, you can admit when you're wrong about something, you're an expert. You're a thought leader in your space. I might have a little bit of a water. Leanne has put a comment here saying, I'm a bit of a struggling perfectionist, so always struggle with mistakes and it affects my confidence. I'm definitely getting much better at it though, as I know I'm learning from each mistake now. And I thank you so much, Leanne, for being able to post that and comment that out to us today. I completely understand where you're coming from about being a recovering perfectionist. Very early on in my career, I felt like everything had to be perfect. And I was still learning. I was very much still learning, getting my boots on. I was 14, 15 at the time. Not everything had to be perfect. And even now, I find myself still struggling with that perfectionism. And the thing that grounds me or brings me back down to not negate the perfectionism per se, but knowing that my level of minimum viable product, so that is a business term called MVP, so minimum viable product, I like to call, I had a mug of it, BFM, bare effing minimum. And no, I'm not going to swear for all the parents in the room. So what is my BFM, my bare effing minimum is a lot higher than people's bare effing minimum for what they have for me. And when it comes to perfectionism, to be able to let yourself go a little bit and not everything has to be perfect. Does it tick all the boxes? Awesome. Does it beat the bare effing minimum? Awesome. Cool. You're done. You're done. Put it away. Put it away. Put it on your website. Put it on social media. Remind yourself in 60 days to post this again. Maybe even another 60 days after that to post it again. Done. Close shop. You don't need to watch that again. Maybe when you post a video, you can interact with the comments that are left on that video. But ultimately, once you're done with it, you don't need to watch the video again. And that's what I do. I am lucky enough to work with so many clients where I get the privilege of watching you over and over and over and over and over again. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to worry about is answering comments and making sure that people get the knowledge they need from you to hopefully become potential clients of yours. But don't worry about being a perfectionist. Eventually, you'll rub it off. So a question from Roy is, does Facebook advertising produce results? How can this be measured? So Facebook advertising is very much, it is a very ever-expanding bubble of stuff. And when it comes to social media, Facebook is like the OG. It's not, but it's one of the longest running platforms and still has a lot of sway in the marketplace. There's a lot of things that Meta, who is the owner of Facebook, does that is not great. And Facebook marketing, I'd say 10 years ago, Facebook marketing was chef kiss, was absolutely great. You could pay $10 and reach minimum 3,000 to 4,000 people, depending on what levers you pulled to get to a certain niche of people. Nowadays, I saw a going rate recently of $35 and you could reach 806 people in that particular niche, again, with all the levers being pulled. The reason I hesitate to answer this question is because it's very much indicative of the business that you have, the services that you offer, and the target demographic that you're aiming for. If, say, for example, if your people that you aim for are women who are in, say, late 40s, early 50s, who are in regional Victoria, who, either live either associated with a farm or agriculture in some way. Now I'm giving you kind of broad strokes here. You will have a higher chance of actually getting leads through on Facebook compared to, say, reaching out to 18-year-olds who are in Brazil, who are in the metro city, who are interested in luxury fashion, for example. I'm giving you like really wide ideas out of there. But in regards to effectiveness, the effectiveness has definitely, of Facebook ads particularly, has come down over the years. But that is because Facebook has become quite normalized. It's actually reaching the peak or end up the end of its life cycle unless they do some major changes soon. There's a reason why a lot of people are moving on to Instagram or to other platforms, just because Facebook at the moment can seem quite bloated. And when it comes to advertising, it doesn't get as much bang for your buck as it used to. Depending on your demographics, that will dictate where your advertising dollars go. And boosting a post is not advertising on Facebook. Boosting a post essentially gives money to Meta. They show it to a slightly few more people, and that's it. Compared to advertising, which has a lot more checks and balances and a lot more insights in place. But again, that entirely depends on the audience that you're trying to attract. But it's not as good as it once was, where, say, for example, if you put your money into, say, Google advertising, it's not that much better, but it is slightly better than Facebook. But again, that is entirely subjective on the audience that you have on mind. I'm sorry, that's not a very clear answer for you, Roy. Navina asks, powered by StreamYard, what is this tool? And the captions on screen, it looks great. So thank you, Navina, for that comment. So this tool that we're using is called StreamYard, as you noticed in the corner. We're using the free version of this because we provide free live streams to you guys. And essentially, this is a streaming platform that enables us to stream to a wide audience. Mainly, we just use the Facebook group at the moment. But this platform allows us, instead of just streaming directly to Facebook, where we may not have a whole lot of control on how things look or how things present. For example, if I were to live stream directly to Facebook, I'd only be able to use my camera, and I wouldn't be able to allow guests like we have in the past. Or, for example, use something like this, where I'll be able to easily show the presentation in a nice, looking font and manner. So essentially, this is a third-party program that we use that streams to our Facebook group. But this particular program can also, when you pay for it, stream to about, I think, 5 different locations at the one time, and also has the ability to provide captioning to those who want to, say, use this video later on YouTube or other places like that. The captioning that you're seeing probably right now is inbuilt within Facebook. It is AI generated, and it enables me to be able to communicate with you by those captions down the bottom, which is probably right about here. So that's both Facebook and StreamYard working well together. But if you're ever interested in that, you can always just check it out using that name right there. This isn't a plug. We just use their stuff for free. So I think it's a pretty decent product, especially when you're wanting to live stream a lot more often with your platforms or pages that you have. Thank you so much, Jerry and Tabitha. I'm glad that you're enjoying the show tonight. Kate asks, being confident in your product service skill and would definitely be a help despite nerves and stage fright. I completely agree, because once, say, for example, if you are new in your business, I completely understand. You have both the nerves of, I'm new at this, I could make, there's so many mistakes I'm going to make, as well as being nervous of getting yourself out there in front of the camera or behind the camera to show your business to the world. There is a different special type of fear involving that. But once you have a bit more confident in your own skills to be able to produce the product or service that you actually do in your business, then you can rest a little bit more on your laurels and give yourself a little bit more of a hug, going, okay, this will be okay. I can do this. Because you will have a bit more confidence in the work that you can produce and the clients that you can help. And hopefully, if those clients that you've worked with or customers that you've sold to are able to give you good feedback, that'll even give you even more robustness to be able to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm okay with this. Giving me that good feedback loop to be able to start producing videos or reaching out on social media to people like your past clients. All right. I might need to get another drink because I'm going a bit weird with my sentences. And don't worry, Cherry, Facebook advertising also does my head in. And yeah, Google is one of those things where it's getting to the same level as Meta, but I do not blame you at all about getting over Facebook and Meta's shenanigans. As I say this, as I'm on Facebook and Meta as we are going live right now. It's fine. So Kate has another question. So a general social media question for us. So concentrate on improving Insta engagement. So in the broad scope of social media, engagement is essentially a catch-all term for when people both view your post, click on the actual description to read what your post says. And if they watch it for a long period of time, for example, if it's a video, and as well as just general interacting with your post, whether they're liking it, they're sharing it, all that other stuff. Those as a whole are known as insights. The engagement part of it is, as it suggests, the engagement part, like when they are engaging with your post, not necessarily clicking a link to go to your website or to go to a place where you sell your products and services. But when it comes to engagement, it's a good thing to build awareness of your brand, I'd say realistically within the first 2 to 3 years. But once you've got your 2 to 3 years down in your business and you've been posting on social media pretty consistently, engagement turns into a nice to have. And when you need to, as Kate mentioned before about how to improve engagement, it's one of those situations where there are so many different things that the algorithm wants, that your audience wants, that your potential audience wants, that can be quite overwhelming and just way too many things to try and explain. But when it comes to improving your engagement, you're trying to get people to stay longer on your videos, to click down into the description of your videos or your posts, to hopefully comment and react more to your posts. It's essentially what your goal is. And you can do this by posing questions, by providing videos of your face, but also being able to provide context around why you do what you do. And when it comes to videos, the best way to boost conversions when specifically talking about videos, just mainly because that's my area of expertise, Kate, to boost engagement, try and get people to watch the video past the first 3 seconds. So those first 3 seconds, if you're moving the camera lens around and taking a big deep breath in, you've already lost them because it's already been 3 seconds and they've already moved on to the next post. But in that first 3 seconds, if you're able to ask a very quick, provocative question, so say, for example, if someone in the realm is a florist, they're my usual go-to of professions, and someone says, and say, for example, if it was nearing Mother's Day, like it was previously, and in those first 3 seconds of your video, you ask, have you booked in your Mother's Day flowers? Have you? That immediately stops people from scrolling. It boosts your engagement because you're asking a question within the first 3 seconds, or you're piquing people's interest enough to be able to boost those engagements. And hopefully, with the knowledge that you've tried to film this video a couple of different times, you're able to then be able to get those insights, again, like I mentioned, that whole umbrella of all the ways that people interact with your post, to get a better idea of, okay, are these new people that are interacting with my post to boost my engagement, or are these people who already know who I am who are boosting my engagement? Essentially, that is all in the back end of social media. And as Kate mentioned, in regards to Instagram is one of the biggest growing social media platforms, mainly just because all the people who are spending a lot of time on social media are moving over to Instagram because the algorithms are slightly better, not great, but slightly better. So to improve that engagement, you need to make sure that you grab people's attention within that first 3 seconds. The video can be as long as it needs to be. You just need to grab them within that first 3 seconds. Okay. Yes, as the 11 hour comments, it's not a plug, it's just definitely worth using, which is why we use StreamYard. And Kate mentioned, always free is always good. Usually free means that someone is selling your data, that you are becoming the product at some point along the way. But when it comes to StreamYard, we're just happy that it's free, that we're able to provide this opportunity to talk directly to you guys and help you get the answers that you need without us needing to fork over, I want to say, on average, like $500 to $600 a year minimum. I spend so much money on my tools. So Lisa asked the question, one thing I struggle with is keeping my emotions in check on video. I work in animal welfare and often end up crying. Any tips for controlling the rush of emotion when I speak about what I do and why I do it? Stepping out of the shot and focusing on filming the cat sounds like one way. And that is definitely true, Lisa. Being able to just have the focus be on the cats is probably a good way to go about it. And if you do need to be in front of the camera, because again, most of the time, especially when it comes to animal welfare, people are going to be focused on the animals. But if you are, say, for example, going to be, like I mentioned before, you are going to be the one that is going to be picking up the phone, answering the messages, answering the texts, then people feel a lot more comfortable interacting with you because they know that you are going to be the one who they see ultimately when it comes to humans and doing the humans interactions. So when it comes to emotions, especially emotions as gut-wrenching as ones that are involved in animal welfare and the care of animals, I definitely recommend not going with live streams, probably going with pre-recorded videos and giving yourself that opportunity to take those breaks. As I mentioned before about filming when you have the highest energy in the day, that's always a good chance to be able to keep your emotions in check. You'll have more energy. Say, for example, if you are someone who has more energy at the start of the day, film your videos either in a location that is more comfortable to you, so be it at home in, say, a home office or a lounge room or somewhere where there's nice soft furnishings that you can sit down and you can be comfortable in, because there's less chance of your, and again, I hate to use the term negative emotions because there's no such thing as negative emotions, but to be able to feel comfortable in yourself enough that you're able to get the message through and get the message clear enough without the need to, say, cry. Because again, the work that you do is definitely needed, and that we are so lucky to have people in the world like you who do the work that you do. But if you need to take a break, that's fine. Take a break, have a little cry. So take some time, breathe, and then if you need to, get back to filming. And as Cherry mentioned, she always does voiceovers. If voiceovers are easier for you to be able to have a script in front of you and read off that, or maybe even have dot points in front of you to read off that a little bit more naturally without having to worry about focusing on a camera lens and worrying about crying. Because of course we might be able to hear that you're crying in the voice, but necessarily that's not always going to be the case. So again, is it fit for purpose? Is it going to work with what you need to? And is it going to ultimately help the people and help the cats that you're working with at the end of the day? Because it's okay if that's not the case. You don't need to get in front of the camera if that's the case. But if people are going to be interacting with you and they're going to be putting their trust in you and the work that you do, if you can get yourself on camera at least once, then that's chef's kiss. And if that's not the case, then stand back and focus on the cats. Oh. Tabitha asked the questions. We welcome anyone who'd like to try live streaming into the Help Me Build My Business Australia Facebook group. Think of it as an opportunity to practice and build your confidence with an audience of people who are willing to support you. And that is totally true. That's exactly what we do here. We want to support you, not necessarily just in the live, but in the lead up to it. Like I mentioned before, Amanda's been my cheerleader. Woo! In messages and in comments and in prompts leading up to today's presentation. And that's what we do. We provide support and we give you that cheerleading and that boost up before the live, during the live, and even after the live. Because it's not just standing in front of the camera and talking about what you do. It's having a conversation with local business people who are here to support you at the end of the day. And I want to thank Tabitha and Cherry for providing us with this group to be able to do that with. That was a round of applause, in case that wasn't obvious to any listeners on today's presentation. So Kate mentioned, wow, thank you. Amazing wealth of knowledge, and I hope you are taking all notes, guys. Yes, I hope that is definitely true for everyone out there. And if you can, feel free to comment and I will reply with any details for you. And thank you so much, Kate, for that lovely comment. Chris posts, I do have a Facebook for my M&D wheel for M&D fundraising. But despite Mr. Zuckerberg, so I'm slowly learning Instagram. And yes, when it comes to social media, especially for small business, my recommendation is to start with the social media platform that you know and you have more confidence in. Because again, if you've got a ground of confidence to begin with, it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to promote your business if you have a better understanding of the platform. But as I mentioned, Facebook is kind of reaching its peak and is slowly going downhill. It's becoming a bit bloated and it's becoming a little bit long in the teeth. As I say that as someone who started using Facebook when it first came out in Australia, and started running and helping businesses on Facebook back in the day. So when it comes to moving over to a new platform, I highly recommend getting a personal account before you start your business account. To try a personal account out, get the feel for the platform, see what the actual functionality of the actual platform is like, but also what trends are currently running on the platform. If any of your friends or any of your family are on there, maybe seeing what they do and how they use the platform. Listen or watch any experts who are currently in the field, not necessarily to take their word verbatim. You should never take anyone's word verbatim, but to be able to just use people's insight into the platforms to say, like, okay, I can then use this in my own business. And then once you create the account, then from there, give yourself the opportunity to post around 2 to 3 times a week and give yourself a consistent pattern that you know you can meet. And also, one tip that I will give to the people who are on today's live and who are listening in the podcast, it is okay to post the same post everywhere. I know that might be shocking to hear, but if you're putting the effort into a video or you're putting the effort into a post, post it on all the platforms. It's your content anyway. And if it does really well, then post it again 60 days, 90 days later. You are the one putting in the effort. You are doing it for free for these social media platforms so they can keep people on their platforms to then they can sell stuff to with their advertising. So don't put more effort into something if you've already put in the BFM amount of effort that you can put into something that you're offering for free. And especially if you can link people to your website, that's also a good idea. But I'm digressing. We've got less than 10 minutes and I want to make sure that I answer as much questions as I can. So as we go down, we've got soulmate coaching, specifically any tips for avoiding the censorship when it comes to topics around S. So unfortunately, as you can probably imagine, I had to censor myself then just from saying the word. The reason that there is this censorship, and long story short, is platforms that are designed for people who are 18 years and older are being used by people who are not just 18 years and older. And the best way to put it is that these platforms want to cater to everyone, because if they don't cater to anyone, if they cut out a target demographic, they're going to lose money. That's the mindset they have. Now, that's not a mindset that any small business should have, I should recommend. Being able to target the people who you help is much better than trying to target everyone. But obviously these bigger companies feel like they can target everyone, and the small subset of people who, as soulmate coaching mentioned, that they censor is because they feel that they can get away with that. And when it comes to topics like this, it's very useful to use euphemisms and to speak about the soul, about the heart, about love. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that it's going to get stricter over time, just because, as I mentioned, these platforms are trying to cater to everyone, and they're trying to push out the people who are ultimately getting them views and interest and money. But because they've already used them in the early days to get clicks and views and engagement, they're happy to kick them off the platform. So when it comes to censorship, unfortunately, that's just going to happen a lot with social media. I do recommend prompting people to go to your website, that if you say, for example, using some euphemisms or giving a tease about what you're wanting to talk about or the information you're wanting to talk about, then direct people to your website. You may not be able to provide a link because those are even being cracked down on the platform. But if you're able to provide a prompt saying, hey, go to my website, here it is, then you'll be able to communicate a lot more effectively without the need to censorship, because it will be on your own website without the need for social media. Thinking of social media as more of a tease or a trailer and having the movie on your website. Use the trailer. It's going to be censored. It's going to not look as great, but you provide that opportunity for people to go to your website where you'll have more information that won't be censored. Yes, that might require more work for your soul, but I think you can do it. So as I scroll down, we've got 5 minutes. So we've got a couple of prompts. Yes, thank you so much to Amanda. Amanda is definitely awesome. As we scroll down, Leanne says, I've definitely been taking notes and feeling inspired to give video a go now. Thank you so much, Leanne. I'm glad that we can help you on that front. Cherry thinks, I think Facebook started back in 29, lol. Feels like a billion years ago, because every year is like 20 years. So I very much agree. Leanne mentioned, I'm going to try out Instagram now too. I've been using Facebook, but the algorithms make it hard to get my posts out to a lot of people. Unfortunately, yes. That is going to be going even more downhill unless they make some very big changes very soon, which I highly doubt, because money. Terry says, the old spam. I very much agree. As we scroll down, John says 35 in good health. As I scroll down, a small soulmate coaching says, thanks, Zoe. I can't say a V or a P from a S ed perspective, but people can say C. You might need to check out the live stream for anyone who is listening on the replay, or for anyone who is listening to the podcast, to de-censor what I just said, because yes, I very much agree that when it comes to an S-Ed combination, that everything is censored when you're trying to educate people on a subject, but it's not censored when you just have it out in the open. And also it's Australian, so that's as good as we're going to get. The scrolling down and said, 11 hour mentioned that we have had a bit of success on Instagram lately, which is good to hear and good to see. So that there is definitely going to be ebbs and flows when it comes to social media. Nothing is ever going to stay the same, which is why I very highly encourage you to keep an eye out for people who are like your business or who are adjacent to your business, where you can learn more about what they've done and what has worked for them. So then you can start implementing that in your business. Not necessarily your competitors, but people who are in the same somewhat field as you. Because say, for example, as Soulmate mentioned, if you're in S education and the work that you do and you're seeing people around you doing a certain trend, but they're not getting flagged for it, might be time to try out that trend. Just as a good mention to put in the flow of things. I'm going to quickly move this out of the way so you can read it. So for those on the live stream, I've just put on the screen what you can go through next. So we've got 2 minutes before the end of today's presentation. Make sure that if you are interested in following any more of me on my social medias, you can find me on Video Confidence on all social medias, except for X or Twitter, because nobody wants to be on that. And for those who are interested in anything that I can provide for you, I've provided a PDF of your before live stream checklist that you can find on the 11 hour website, which will hopefully not be linked in the comments, because the comments don't entirely work for links and be suppressed real quick. But you can definitely find that by typing in 11hour.com.au, and then you'll probably see the most recent events where hopefully I will pop up. So we've got a couple more minutes to go, but I'm just going to leave that on screen for us. I want to thank so much for everyone who was able to be here on the live and to comment your questions and your thoughts and any of the ideas that you've had, or any of your experience that you've had with social media or with video marketing. I'm so glad that we've been able to provide this opportunity for everyone. And if you are not here, if you're here in the replay or you're here on the podcast, do not worry. These comments are still available and open, that you can comment your thoughts and your ideas and your experience in those same comments below, or check out our future events for other subjects that will help small business owners build their business in Australia. So thank you so much, especially to Cherry for organising our lovely comments that are on the screen for anyone who is watching today's presentation. And I have gapped long enough because it is 9 p.m. Oh. So thank you so much to everyone. And I'm probably going to finish the stream in a couple of seconds here. But as I mentioned, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to DM me on any of my social medias. I'm pretty responsive, getting better at it, as all of us with email inboxes. Some of us are better than others. I'm not that great, but we are doing our best. So if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so that way. All right, I'm going to stop gabbing. I'm going to let you guys go back to your lovely night. And for those who are listening or catching us on the replay, to enjoy the rest of your day. All right, bye everyone.